you want to stand a chance at all of getting yourself an actual interview, then you got to have the kind of resume that really does the deed. And that's what we're going to talk about here. Really, a lot of the things that you're going to hear are, they're cutting edge as far as resume stuff, resume teaching goes. And a lot of them are contrary to the traditional kind of resume teaching. You know, those classes that you used to go to in high school and stuff. And even if you go to some vocational school today, the resume stuff that they're going to teach you in there, it's so old and outdated, folks. Listen, just trust me. Do what you hear and what you see in this training and throw all that stuff out the window because it doesn't work anymore. The training that has been put together here is with years of research from the inside, as in actual hiring managers. It's just, once you hear what I'm going to tell you, it's going to totally click and it's going to make sense, and you're going to see why all those resumes that you sent out don't actually get you anywhere. Why didn't they get you an interview? Well, because you did it wrong. You did it totally wrong. And you're going to see what I'm talking about in this course. Let's look at real quick an overview of what is going to be in this video module. The new job market. Today's market is much different than yesterday's market. And I mean a lot different. You know, maybe 20 years ago, some of those old school tactics could have worked, and they probably did. But today, that ain't the case. And resumes are a teaching tool. This is totally contrary to, what they used to tell us, and really what they still do tell us in a lot of antiquated establishments. But that is that with your resume, it's like a marketing tool, right, where you market yourself. That's not what a resume is. It's a teaching tool, and I'm going to show you why. Resumes must meet the need. I'll explain what those needs are and how you meet them. And resumes must be truthful. How about that one? How many times have you been told in a resume class something like this? You know, if you have ever even opened Microsoft Excel, then put it on your resume that you have experience with Excel. That is such a crock. You know what happens there? I'll get into this a little bit more, but you know what happens? People do that. They don't fit the need. They get hired and they can't do the job. What happens then? I'll explain what happens when we get to that slide. Okay, new job market. In the 70s, over 1 billion resumes submitted in the U.S. Over 1 billion. We're talking like mid-70s, that era, right? Well, today, large corporations get about 50,000 resumes per year, each one of them. And there's a lot of large corporations out there. Just to give you an idea, Microsoft, they get 6,000 resumes a day. Now, I want you to think about something here. Let's say there's a job position opens up, right? And you're going to submit a resume. And let's say you're going to submit one to Microsoft. In one day, they get 6,000 resumes. How's yours going to stand out from 5,999 other resumes? And that large corporation that you'd like to get a job at, they get 50,000 resumes a year. How are you going to compete with that? How are you going to possibly get your resume actually noticed? That's the job market that we're in today. So like I said, 30, 40 years ago, over 1 billion resumes submitted in the 70s. So your, little old school tactics, they might have pulled it back then, but they're not going to pull it today. You go doing stuff that, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that here in a minute. Interviews cost time and money. This is why corporations screen resumes. If someone's actually going to sit face-to-face with a hiring manager, that costs the company money. That's why a lot of companies even go to the trouble of hiring a recruiter, because they don't want to fool with that interview, because they know it costs time and money. They might, with the recruiter, they might go ahead and let them pick out, out of the thousands and thousands of resumes, they might let them pick out half a dozen and they'll actually interview those. But getting that interview is tough, folks. Your resume has to give them exactly what they are looking for, and come across to them in such a way that they can say, money spent looking into this individual is money well spent. That's what you have to justify. You do that with a good resume. And a good resume gets you lots of interviews, and it enhances your professional image. That's the real job of a resume. A resume is not to, make you look like you're the be-all, end-all. The resume's job is to get you an interview. So it's not, the resume's job is not necessarily to show, you should pay me a whole bunch of money and I'm the man for the job. No. The resume's job is get you lots of interviews. So if you have a good resume, you send that good resume out and you will get a lot of interviews. If people are sending out resumes and they're not getting an interview, what does that tell you? There's something wrong with the resume. It's not that, you can't blame the person for that, the individual, because they didn't even get a chance to come talk to anybody. The only thing is the resume. That's what's at fault. Your resume. Who does your resume reach? It reaches hiring managers. These are individuals within a company. It reaches recruiters. These are people that the company has hired to fill a position. That recruiter, they could get about, on average, 1,100 resumes per position. So now they're sitting there. They have to, they maybe do some kind of ad or do whatever about a position, or a company calls them and say, hey, we got this position. And they let people know, and they're going to get 1,100 resumes for that one position. How's yours going to stand out? Let me show you how. Resumes are a teaching tool. This is probably the single most important thing that you've got to change about your understanding of what resumes do. Resumes teach about you. They are not supposed to try to sell you. They're not supposed to say, I'm the best one for the job. They teach exactly who you are, what you're capable of, what you've done, and they do it in an informative manner to give the hiring manager what they need to make a decision. And that decision may very well be to not hire you. It might be to hire somebody else. But the resume has to do that job. And when you sit down to create your resume, this is exactly what you have to have in your mind, that you want to teach about you. They should not promote you. They shouldn't be all me, me, me. They should just state facts and, again, teach that individual about who you are. Promoters, if you think about it for a minute, like marketers and people that promote things, they will basically do just about anything, including lie, in order to get somebody to, sign on and buy into whatever it is that they're trying to sell, to promote. Promoters exaggerate. The thing about these tactics, though, is that a really good manager, they can see right through that stuff. They can see if you're trying to promote yourself and if you're possibly exaggerating your capabilities. And here's the thing. We're going to get to this a little bit more in a couple of slides. But the fact is that the person hiring you, they don't care one bit about you and who you are and what you can do and all this kind of stuff as far as your little world. They're not concerned about you. They're concerned about what you're going to be able to do for them, for the company. We'll get into that a little bit more later on. Resumes are a teaching tool in that they relate really what you have done in a way that is beneficial to a company, okay? Not yourself, not your personal accomplishments. 60 to 80% of all resume writers, and we have been taught this, okay? So I'm not bagging on anybody if you do this. I've done it on resumes when I was younger too. All that and a bag of chips, right? In other words, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. That's what most resume writers actually try to accomplish when they sit down to create a resume. And I'm talking individuals and professional resume writers. 60 to 80%. Just, I'm all that and a bag of chips. In other words, I am everything. You want me so bad. And the thing is, a good hiring manager, they totally see through that. And it is nothing but a turnoff. Experienced managers can spot that kind of stuff a mile away. And what's going to happen when they see that? You will not get an interview. And that's the goal of the resume. Remember? The goal of the resume is to get you an interview. When a manager sees that, we're going to go later on in the course, I'm going to talk to you about the process that a manager goes through in reading your resume. And you will find out that if you try to write one of these larger-than-life resumes, you're going to have about 10 seconds of that manager's time, and then your resume is going to go in that round filing cabinet under his desk. And that's the truth, too. Your resume, remove distractions. In other words, things that are on there that are not relevant and not 100% relevant should not be on there whatsoever. Relate important information repeatedly, and by repeatedly I'm talking about 3 times. In fact, it is better for you to relate 2 or 3 actual skills or accomplishments 3 times than it's better for you to relate 5 or 6 different skills or accomplishments only 1 time. Because that's the way we learn. That's the way things stick with us, is they need to be reinforced over and over and over again. So that's what you've got to do, is you've got to show, I did this and I accomplished this. And then later on in the resume, there's another way that we can bring that about, in a different way, the same information. Leave out irrelevant info. Again, if it's not directly related to that job, to that position, forget about it. Resumes must meet the need. Whose need? The hiring manager's need. Because guess what? That hiring manager, they don't care squat about you. They don't care squat about what you have done. You know what they care about? Their needs. What's in it for me? They care about what you're going to be able to do for them and for the company. A hiring manager, when they're sitting there going through resume, they've got this position that they've got to fill, right? They've got somebody that's over them, another manager or the owner of a company or a CEO or something, right? And they got to hire somebody to fill this position. If they hire some yahoo that can't do the job, they're going to look like an idiot. So they don't want to do that. So they've got specific things that they want out of that person that they hire. And those are the things that they're looking for. They are not looking for how pretty you are. They're not looking for what you have done that makes you look good. They're looking for what can you do for them. And here's like a list that has been put together of the things, specific things that a hiring manager is interested in while they're reading your resume. They want somebody that can increase profits or even just maintain profits. Maybe they're having a battle in the market and they're having a hard time just holding on. They want somebody that can do that for them. They want somebody that can reduce workload of maybe other employees or maybe a manager or something. They want somebody who can help out and